Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another race recap video. This is the Auburn Criterium, which happened this past weekend, and it was a fun one. It was pretty spicy, so I'm excited to jump into the action. But before we do that, I just wanted to thank everyone for subscribing, liking the videos, commenting. The support has just been amazing. I just wanted to put it out there that I've been making content that I guess I've always wanted to see on YouTube. I think the best videos are authentic, transparent. I always put up my power data and everything, and I want to let you guys know what I'm doing training wise. But if there's something that you guys want me to make a video about, feel free to hop in the comments. I think I want this to be interactive and everything, and I realize that what I'm interested in may not be what you guys are interested in. So yeah, jump in the comments. I read every single one. I try to respond to everyone, and yeah, I'm always down to talk cycling with you guys, and it's cool to do it with people from all around the world. But with that said, let's jump into this race. All right, let's start by checking out the main feature on the course, which is probably this downhill section. But before that, you have to hop across this bridge, which had these pretty gnarly potholes on either side of it, both the entrance and the exit. And I think people were banging their tires on those and flatting, which was a sketchy prospect, because right here we're coming down this really fast, 35 mile an hour plus left-hander, and my teammate Matt, he has a flat right now, so his back tire just slid out. I actually didn't even notice that while I was in the race, but he's gonna put his hand up here, and because he notices he has a flat, and I have to do this little effort to close this down. And this was it was a hot day, and you have to be conservative with your bullets, and having to do a little bit of an effort right here. This is it's definitely a match. So that was kind of a bummer, but Matt got a wheel and he jumped back in, and yeah, we're climbing up this hill, and the hill it's not as hard as some of the other Criterium courses we had, because you usually could come into it with pretty good momentum, but yeah, it definitely starts taking a toll with something like this. It's like 8-9% up there in the right hand corner. I have the grade. Yeah, and then I guess I'll just play it through, but we have these two right-hand turns where the road is pretty narrow. They have these hay bales out, which kind of pinch things off. And I was actually finding that I was almost hitting these cones on the left if I was pushing it through that second right-hand turn. And now we're just going through the top of the course, which has this slight rise, and it was a headwind through here. Not a super powerful headwind, but enough to kind of dissuade people from taking pulls and things. But yeah, we had a pretty ripping first 15-20 minutes of this race, which is usually what happens, but it always slows down. I think in a local crit like this, which it has a very strong field, there's not going to be a team that's going to be pushing the pace 100% of the time like you might have at like Tulsa Tough or one of those bigger criteriums. But with a race like this, if you're just hanging on, just remember that it is always going to slow down. Like even in the P12, it's gonna, the pace will drop off. Everyone can't be doing a max effort the entire race. So we're about 10 minutes in here, and we haven't hit that lull in the pace yet. It's still been ripping fast, and we have currently a solo Mike's Bikes rider off the front. It's Tim, and he is very strong, and I was thinking that he could hold it the entire race. This is a course that definitely favors a breakaway. But yeah, so we were hoping to kind of reel him in, and I decided, my teammates were on the front taking pulls, so I decided to kind of go for a little attack here. And you saw that other Mike's Bikes rider, that's Chris Reichert, and he's a really wily, smart racer. He on top of being incredibly strong. So he saw me coming. I think he looked back, and he started winding up his gear, which is a really smart tactic, because he locked right into my draft, and yeah, we're off the front now. And There's his teammate up there, so I'm basically forced into pulling him up to his teammate, which kind of sucks. But we're out the front for only a couple seconds here, and then we get pulled back. We end up pulling Tim back, and then the pace lulls, and then yeah, let's see what happens next. All right, so we're about 25 minutes in at this point, and Mike's Bikes was on point today. You know, they were doing the attack counter attack, and they probably had, you know, some of the strongest guys in the race. You know, they're tough to race against. So my teammate Matt, our captain, he just waved me through that, you know, I think he had just followed a move, so he needed some help. And I saw this Project 74 rider going for an attack, and he is trying to bridge up to Chris Reichert up there. So yeah, they are. Mike's Bikes kind of has us all on the ropes, and we're just trying to latch on. So we formed this break of 3, and we start rolling. So one other rider that I forgot to mention was we actually had a Project Echelon guy in the race. His name is David Grief, and for those of you that don't know, Project Echelon is like a really big pro team here in the United States. They're kind of the guys that go toe-to-toe with Legion, at least definitely in stage racing, not so much in crits. That's Legion's main forte, we all know, but in stage races, Project Echelon smokes Legion, actually. So we knew he was strong, and I looked back, and he was bridging up to our group of 3. So I really wanted him to make it into our group. And so I tried to slow things down, and Reichert thought the opposite. So he, I think, didn't fancy himself in a sprint in our group, you know, with me and also this Project 74 rider who's Kenny, is a strong sprinter. So he gives a dig and pulls away from us. And at the moment, I wasn't super worried about this because I knew the Project Echelon guy was making it up to us, and I thought, okay, well, we'll reel Reichert in. But he was really fast through those downhill corners. You saw he gapped me off. So he was probably gaining about a second a lap on us just through the descent. And he started pulling out a gap, and alarm bells were ringing. So I'm kind of in this chase group with, this is David, Project Echelon, and then Kenny, the Project 74 guy. And we weren't working super well together. Me and David were rotating, but I think Kenny was on the limit a bit. You know, it was hot. It was, 90 degrees or 32 degrees centigrade. And that was taking a toll on a lot of guys. So me and David were rotating, but Chris Reichert up there, you can't even see him anymore. So I'm worried. And I guess I was thinking, all right, worst comes to worst, we get pulled back to the field, and then I think the field will be able to reel Reichert in, because Project 74 has some strong guys, and Dolce Vita is back there. But I still was trying to work here and get Kenny to work as well, because I thought, you know, this little chase group had a good chance of staying away and maybe even catching Chris still. All right, so now we're about 45 minutes in. Me and David had been rotating well for 20, 25 minutes, but we're tired and it's hot. I started having heavier and heavier legs, and we saw the field was gaining on us, and we weren't making a big dent into Chris Reichert's gap up ahead. So I started thinking, okay, maybe we just go back to the field and then reel Reichert in together. So I started taking softer and softer pulls. And yeah, we were just rethinking our strategy and how we were going to try to win this race. And this is when I started thinking, okay, like maybe we're racing for second here, because yeah, Reichert was definitely on a really good day. And also, this course just really favors a solo rider, like I was saying, or a breakaway, because you get that downhill, and if you're able to recover on that, if you're comfortable on the downhill and you're not white knuckling it, your heart rate's going to go down. And then it's basically like a minute and a half or 2 minute interval, and you just do that over and over again. And a guy like Reichert is definitely strong enough to hold that till the end. So we get pulled back, and I was kind of kicking myself, honestly, because Reichert sort of just, attacked in the saddle and just sort of rode away from us. And I felt like I might have been able to hold his wheel if I hadn't been messing around and trying to wait for the Project Echelon guy. But it is what it is, and I was definitely on the limit. I was not having an easy day. It was my birthday a couple days before this, so the night before I had a little birthday party, and yeah, I was not eating and drinking super well for a hot Criterium the next day, but that's cool. It's just life. So yeah, now we're kind of just thinking, all right, unless Project 74 starts chasing us back, we're racing for second here. So Reichert is gone, and we have about 3 laps to go. So I'm not feeling super confident in my sprint, so I decide to go for a little bit of a flyer and see if the field lets me go. This was like probably pretty dumb because there was no way the fresh Mike Spikes guys were gonna let me do this, but I decided to roll the dice anyways, and yeah, I look behind and I see like 3 Mike Spikes guys on my wheel, so it's just, yeah, hats off to them. They raced it super well, and they're obviously all coming into great form for this summer season. So one thing you had to be careful about on this descent was this seam in the road, which is on the right here. One time it actually my tire got stuck in it, and I almost crashed. So that's definitely something you had to look out for. And the other thing is, if you carried good momentum through that left-hander, you could sort of just coast this entire section, which is another good way of saving energy. So I do that dumb move and basically just set up the counterattacks to start going. And now that we're like close enough to the finish, the Mike Spikes guys are starting to attack because they know Reichert isn't coming back. And yeah, let's check out how I do in the final lap. All right, so we're going through the start-finish straight. Last time up this hill. Prior to this clip, Ryan from Mike Spikes saw the field slowing, and he sent an attack through the descent, so he's gone. So they have 1 and 2 locked up, and you're gonna see Nate on the right, another Mike Spikes rider, go for an attack. So they're going for 1, 2, 3. They're basically just getting greedy at this point. So I'm just hoping that one of us is going to break up the Mike Spikes party. So we make it through those 2 right-hand bends, and my teammate Matt right here is going to go for this attack. And this is pretty smart because he knows he either gets away and then makes it onto the podium, which is great, or he just leads me out. So it's kind of a win-win attack. And what I'm thinking at this point is trying to get to that right-hander at the end of this straight first, because I think whoever or the order that we go through that turn is probably going to be how it finishes at the line, because that last little sprint is so short. And so I was getting ready to uncork my sprint to this corner, and I just waited too long. I think I was just too tired, and so I make it onto David from Project Echelon's wheel. And at this point, I'm just kind of like, all right, might as well not take any super big risks to try to move up maybe 1 spot, and yeah, make it to like 6th place instead of 7th. So yeah, this is pretty much how we finish, and yeah, it was a fun race. Definitely a challenging course. If you're in the NorCal area, I definitely recommend making it out to this one next year. And hats off to the Mike Spikes guys. They're very frustrating sometimes to race against, but they push us all to be better, so it's good. And I'm glad they're coming into form and yeah, getting ready to rip up this summer season. But I just wanted to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it, and see you in the next one.